Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're here to talk about Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I think by now you should know all the co-hosts, but do you guys want to introduce yourselves just in case? I guess starting with Angela.
I'm Angela. This is my cat. He's very loud. I'm very tired. And now I'm going to point down here.
Hi, I'm Jessie from The Bookish Mom, and I'm at the beach right now. Oh, wait, this way. Over to you.
I'm Roger, and yes, I'm technically the one hosting the Great Cosmere Along, but we're jumping channels and having fun and doing all the things. And both my cats are now here because I opened the door and they don't ever get to come into the library, so now they're just like sniffing everything.
My cat's purring and he never purrs. Like literally it's been 16 years and he's never purred and I don't know how to process this.
Aww.
He's so fluffy though.
This was his favorite then.
Is Warbreaker your favorite?
That or he just likes being on Stephanie's channel.
He is old. This cat is older than the book Warbreaker.
How old is he now?
It's like 16.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. He and Oliver are about the same age.
He's so fluffy.
Oh, too fluffy.
No. Snuggles. So fluffy.
He gets by on his fluff. Like sometimes I'm just like, you're so soft.
Yeah. He knows.
Anyways, this is a tangent. Stephanie, put us on track.
Please.
Not going to be the best host today, but so I reread, I think 90% of this. I didn't quite finish in time. This was my second time reading it. Really, really loved it. I liked it better than the first time I read it, actually, and I really loved it the first time. So I think it's just a good time.
Agreed. I loved it my second time around reading it.
Yeah, and
probably more than the first.
Pick up on little things that I didn't notice the first time since I've read so much more of the Cosmere now. So,
agreed. It's fun seeing all the Cosmere connections when you go back and start rereading everything.
Especially this one, for reasons that I think we'll probably discuss more down the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was this your way of getting us to do general thoughts? So that was Stephanie's general thoughts. What are Angela's general thoughts of Warbreaker?
Let's see. It's hard for me to like rank books. So I'm like, I think it's for sure like, I don't know. It's a book I really like. I remember fondly the summer memory of going to a Books A Million and realizing there was a new Sanderson book that I didn't know was happening. So I vividly remember being there and the hardbacks on the shelf. It has the sci-fi logo back before it was Siffy. And I was just like, oh my God, there's a new Sanderson? Because like at that point, only Mistborn and Elantris were out. And I was like, I'd already read those. And it was summer at my grandma's with nothing to do because I was a high schooler with like no life. And so I got the book and I spent that week reading it on her porch. So I have these very fond memories attached to, I think, a really fun book. Like it has, princess tropes. It's got a fun magic system. There's court intrigue.
Yeah. It's like the perfect summer read.
Yeah, I think I remember every time I read it, the pace flows really well. And even when you know the mysteries, I think the way the mysteries are unfurled, like Light Song's Past and things like that, to be vague. I just think that the mysteries are appropriately intriguing, but you're given enough information to not make you be like, well, come on already. Give me some facts. So yeah. And I also just love gods among men and stuff like that. Like that's fun. So yeah, it's a very vibrant book and I have fond memories. This was the book that got me into audiobooks because I listened, not by choice, I was forced into it, the graphic audio on a car ride. Because my partner got in like a Humble bundle at the time. And I was like, I guess I'll listen to this, even though at the time audiobooks were like not my thing. And I was like, oh, this actually isn't too bad. Okay, yeah, I'll finish the story this way. And then like I reread it, the rest of it physically, because we didn't get through all of it on the car ride.
That would have been a very long car ride.
Yeah. I tried the graphic audio this time and I got about 10 minutes in and couldn't do it. It was too much. I can see why some people like it, but it's not for me.
I want to try
it. To listen to them closer to 1x speed because all the sounds and the music sound crazy on like 2x. You're like, what is that?
Yeah,
I have to imagine we listened to it at one time speed. I have no control over whatever we did because this was like in 2015 or 2016. I have no idea. I was just in the car and I could have been doing my own thing while we drove down the East Coast, but instead I'm like, I guess I'll come in and out while this is playing because I knew the book.
I guess.
So those are my general thoughts. It's fun. I think I have always wanted another book in this series. Like both this and Elantris were always like, oh, fine, you're a complete thought, but I would love to know more because there are still mysteries. And like,
Mhm.
And the
Because
world
they
was
both
just
end so
fun.
explosively, and you're like, okay, well now we're really getting into what this magic can do. Give it to me.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I would even take a prequel. There's so much we don't know about like where certain things came from. We have like implications about the past, but it's like, man, I could have used like 5 more flashback scenes. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, those are my general
I would take more.
thoughts.
Yeah, for sure.
Jesse, did you already do your general
Oh, is
thoughts?
it me?
I think so.
I mean,
don't
I
know.
loved it. I agree with you. I love it. And I actually think this is one of Sanderson's best written romances. Because he doesn't do a lot of romance. And it's not like, oh, it's all romance heavy. But like, this is one of the top romances, I think, in the Cosmere.
It's like a good cozy
not-
romance. Like if it's very
Yeah.
comfortable and it follows tropes. It's not like explicit, but you like feel it.
Right. You feel things, but it's not spicy, which is fine with me. But
Yeah.
I do think it's one of his best written romances. I absolutely loved it. And there were a lot, even on a reread, of like really fun like twists that were like, oh yeah, that guy. And that was what happened there. So I think because I went a while between with my rereads, I still was like, oh yeah. And then kind of like Stephanie said, just like rereading it and knowing like the implications in the Cosmere as a whole.
Yeah.
To me makes it more fun. So
Well,
this
like-
was just a fun one, and I do want that sequel
It's coming someday.
one day.
2030 or something.
It's not planned yet, right?
The
Like the
sequel
year.
is Oathbringer and you will accept it.
The sequel is Oathbringer.
I'm kidding,
Oh,
but yeah, I'm
I
kidding.
mean, but really,
For me, it's probably still my favorite Cosmere book. I think it was probably the second one I read. I think I read Mistborn first 2 years ago because I didn't know who Sanderson was until I started watching BookTube. And then I was like, okay. So then I started reading his stuff, and I really liked Mistborn. And then I read Warbreaker, and then I reread Warbreaker that same year because I just loved it so much. So this was my third reread in 2 years, which is a little wild, but it's still just fun. And now it has like that cozy vibe because I know what's going to happen, and that's just comforting. I'm definitely one of those people who just likes reveling in my nostalgia and doing rereads and just having that comfort story that I know that I love.
Yes.
And so that was Warbreaker this time around.
Sounds
Still
like
fun
my
stories.
reread of Elantris, where I knew every plot beat, but I was ready for it, and I was just like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yes. Definitely.
yes, it is comforting.
Yeah.
I also like that it's a light Beauty and the Beast retelling. Gotta love Sanderson's take on a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Yeah, and I didn't pick up on that originally.
I
I
literally
think at the
didn't
time
until
that like
now.
okay, Beauty and the Beast retellings have always been in young adult. I don't know when they haven't been, but like I mean, I was reading a lot of young adult at the time. I mean, I was a 15 or 16-year-old, and so like I was ready for that. I was just like, and like I guess at the time I didn't have the language to be like, oh, this is a transition book or whatever. But it's like, yeah, it hit with a lot of tropes that I hadn't seen in adult that are usually more like money wise in young adult.
Yes.
That makes sense. And this is, I will say, this is one that I'm always like, oh, if you mostly read YA or if you're younger and like wanting to transition into adult, I always say that this is a good one because like it does, like you said, do a lot of those trope beats. And it's like, just try this one and then you'll start going down the rabbit hole.
And it like I'm sure we'll get into it with the characters. It has one of those characters who I think most people start off disliking strongly, and then by the end you're like, okay, I've come around on you a bit. Like you've had some growth. Like there's really good growth.
Yes.
Kitty.
I know
Star of
Jujubee's
the
making
show.
a rare appearance.
I know. Well,
Right.
look at that face. I mean,
I
just
know.
look at that face.
Not to one up your cat. This is just mine right now.
We got all the cats. I do not have my cat. He's probably
Well,
angry
Jujubee's
at
the
me.
one that never makes appearances. She always is usually too skittish or doing whatever it is that she does.
Aw.
But isn't she always like your end screen? Isn't that Jujubee?
Yes.
Or is that,
Yes, the one that makes a little lion roar.
Yes.
My cat's probably just angry at me right now because I'm not home.
Are there other spoiler-free thoughts we want to discuss at the top of this live?
I really enjoyed the magic system. I think that was
It is.
I think I read Mistborn and then I read this like you did, Roger. And I just really, really like the magic system, especially because I was still getting into fantasy when I first read it. So it was like, breath, what a cool thing. And it totally held up in the second reread.
And it's a little less repetitive with explaining its magic system than Mistborn.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
it also has like more layers and going on. Like obviously Mistborn's does too, but like from this like one place you have both just like the hierarchy of it and the awakenings and like just it's a cool spider web of things.
And just the passive effects of having that many breaths, yeah.
I think, I mean, I'm not someone who's like chronically on that Cosmere channel thing, but I do think Sanderson considers like the Warbreaker magic system one of the more powerfuls in terms of what it can do with investiture and like especially memory and things like that when you're of the higher levels and stuff. It's a really
I can see that.
versatile form.
Yeah, I can see that.
I just think it'd be so useful too, like in everyday life.
I'm not gonna lie, I really could
use
use
it.
pewter right now. That's all I want right now. Is
Yeah.
just a lot of pewter.
Right.
I always said if I was like a twin
Feel
born, I
you.
wanted to be a pewter misting with whatever the band was that takes and releases heat, so I could be the optimal temperature at any time of year. I'm very practical about my magic use. So, not to
Very
derail us
logical.
into
I like it.
Mistborn chats, but it's just, you know, it can be cold in the summer and
It's
warm. in the
logical. I like it.
Yeah, I would be okay with that, especially because summer's here. Like we're having a heat wave right now, so it's like close to 100, and it sucks.
We're not having a heat wave. It's just humid today. We're to the point where like any
Well,
can
a
I take out of the
heat wave.
fridge is just like instantly like sopping.
Yeah,
That'll be us in like a week and a half.
I
have
live
an
in
interview
Florida,
Phoenix, and it's like
so-
116 degrees predicted, and I want to die.
Those planes might not take off
But we're gonna drive because it's only like 5 hours.
because sometimes it gets hot enough in Phoenix. The planes they can't go up because of air density.
yeah.
Because flight's all air density.
Well, problem solved. You're driving.
Yeah,
It'll be good.
it's still a long
Because I'm
drive
taking
from
Alex.
California.
Right.
I'm making Alex go with me
You're such a
because
good
then that way
husband.
he can meet Elle. He can meet Elle's husband. Because if we end up
Oh,
moving there,
that'd
it'd
be
be nice
fun.
for
That'd
him
be
to
fun.
like, yeah.
Oh,
That will be fun.
And then he can suffer too in the heat.
Yes.
I mean, you just have to go AC to AC and just accept the oven like blast of heat anytime you step outside.
That's how it is here, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, that's how it is here too.
Yeah.
Only we get the humidity.
Yeah.
yeah.
The
I don't-
poof
I don't
in
love
the
the
hair.
Florida humidity. I don't like DC humidity. Florida, Louisiana gets by because it has good food. It has good enough food for me to accept the humidity.
No.
The food is not good enough in DC
Agreed.
or Florida.
I mean, I love the food, but I'm over humidity.
Well, you can move up north anytime, and I
Although
will
it
welcome
depends
you
on
with
what
open
part of
arms.
Florida you're in. I will say it depends on where you are in Florida, how the food is. 'Cause, like,
Most
if you are
of you
close
people
to
in
the
Florida are
coast,
from Ohio, so the food's not that great.
I mean, you're not wrong. You have to find the actual Floridians that are
The
like born and
transplants are
raised
not
on
bringing the culture.
killing and cleaning the gators. Right. You got to find the ones that like, I grew up frying these gators.
Gator is good. I do like Gator.
It's delicious.
This is really off topic. Stephanie,
Delicious.
Roger, do something.
I'm sorry.
All right, we're talking about
Okay.
food.
Okay. So, Warbreaker. Any other thoughts on the magic system before we go into spoilery stuff? Or any other general thoughts before we go into spoilery stuff? Characters. Things.
Do I have non-spoiler thoughts about characters?
I mean,
I have no clue. I have my hottest
I know,
non-spoiler
I'm like,
take is
is
I
it bad?
love the U.S. cover for this book, and I know it gets so much hate, but I freaking love the U.S. cover for this book, and I
It's
don't
a good cover.
understand. It's so pretty. That's what made me buy the book. I was like, ooh, there's a
This-
sword.
This is
Oh,
also. It's a pretty cover.
It's boring. It's a world about color magic, and where's the color?
I know, but this is the UK cover.
I don't think the UK books are that great.
It's got more.
I still think the
color than
Chinese
some of the
cover.
other
I
ones.
think the Chinese cover beats all of them.
The
But I
Chinese one
cannot
is
read
fabulous.
in Chinese.
Yes. That's the
But,
problem.
But it can sit
But
on the shelf
it's
and
a
look
pretty cover.
gorgeous.
I'm just saying that's my like thing. Is like when I joined BookTube and everyone was like, I don't like this cover. I'm like, this cover is very pretty.
It
Like,
is
I don't understand.
But also, with you saying that there's no
It's
cover
not my
on the UK one,
favorite
technically,
Cosmere cover.
White has all of the wavelengths of color, so they're all there, and they just need
Not
to be
in
split.
pigment form. In pigment, it's the absence, and you know that, Roger. Don't get on this light wave nonsense. In
This
pigment
light
form,
waves.
If the God King was here, it would be a rainbow. Okay, so that's why it's white.
I'm just no. The minimalistic approach to Warbreaker.
It'd be
is a
looking like
different-
my shirt.
No, that's a
We
better.
wore my very
representation.
colorful rainbow shirt.
Yes. That should have been the cover.
Exactly.
Yeah, rainbows. But no,
Yeah,
the
Sanderson
US
really
cover is
has
not my
very
favorite.
few covers,
But I
that are
like it more than the
amazing.
UK cover. Look,
Also, I have to assume that the UK
adore
paperbacks don't open up
the
nicely.
Mistborn
No,
one.
they don't.
They don't.
Mm.
They don't. It's that uber tight.
I adore the
I had
Mistborn
to-
US hardcovers.
I had to very slowly
Yeah.
stretch the spines.
Which ones? Aren't there? Or is there only one version of the hardcover? That weird, like, Renaissance
I think there's only one version of the hardcover.
Yeah, they have the new.
I don't
trade
have them
paperbacks
with me
out.
because I'm in a hotel.
I
But
only
like
have
the
first book, but I'm
US
not grabbing it.
hardcover for Mistborn.
The one that looks like more
Absolutely.
old timey painty, right?
Mhm.
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, they look like paintings. I
They
love
do.
them.
They're really cool.
I love
I only
that.
owned the first one of that because I got the rest in their mass market form at the time. And but my version of that Mistborn book, it has on the front of it, Brandon Sanderson wrote Elantris in Mistborn. That's it.
I love that.
What a throwback.
It's just
Right?
that old. Well, old.
That's a collector's edition. Okay.
It's my edition and it's signed, so it's staying.
Oh yeah, that's
All right, spoilers about Warbreaker. All right, who is your favorite character? Jesse.
oh god, I love them all. That's so hard.
That's hard.
I love the God King. I just
Interesting.
want
That really wasn't my top 3 for you, but let's
yeah,
go.
I was expecting that.
I also like how you just
I-
call him the God King. If he's gonna be your favorite character, don't you have to call him Suzabron or whatever the hell his name is?
I can't say
Sobron.
it. That's the problem.
The
I can't-
audiobooks do Sobron.
Okay.
We don't believe audiobooks in this house. I don't at least.
Too much of this. I can't pronounce it.
So what makes
But
you
I
love
love
him?
Big S.
Just that you think he's gonna be this like big bad, like kind of like badass, or like he's not very nice just because of how he's kind of set up. And then when you get to see him finally, you're like, he is a cinnamon roll. Like he is so sweet. And you're like, wait, this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting him to be like a jerk, or because he's got this wife and he's like just like he comes off as an ass, and you're like, wait, he's a sweetie pie. And you just want to teach him to read.
And I love their interaction with writing. I just love that whole thing.
Right? And I love him. He's so sweet. He's sweet. I love that.
All
I
right,
feel
Roger.
like you're extra sentimental because of your beverage choice today.
Oh, extremely. This is sangria
I mean, no
wine
judgment.
influenced, but it's.
I
fine.
have also been spending all day yesterday, today, and then tomorrow with my whole family, all 3 sisters, dad and stepmom, nieces and nephews, my kids. Necessary.
Yeah.
Necessary.
Yes.
My favorite is probably still Light Song. I just like his way of trying to pretend like he's not doing work or helping people, and then just being quippy and kind of obnoxious. I
We
find
love
it
a
highly
reluctant
amusing.
hero in this house.
And like, this is one of the few books where Sanderson's humor kind of hits for me, because it's not quite the slapsticky that like a era 2 Wayne is. It's more kind of self-deprecating, which, hello, like peak humor.
Is it also because you and Light Song are the same height?
Right?
Probably. We just vibe together. And then just teasing the girl who keeps throwing herself at him, Blushweaver or whatever, who's like, oh, don't you want? And he's like,
I
no.
couldn't. Don't you want me? I like her too, for different reasons. She's just entertaining.
Plus,
I
Light
would-
Song's arc, the revealing of all of the different layers of what was his past, and him just like guessing at what his past was and being an idiot about it. He's like, I could juggle. I was somebody who could juggle things.
Trying to figure out who he is. That
He's
is
like,
a
I'm good at
great
asking questions.
point.
I must have been a detective. You're like, I don't think that's how that works.
But you gotta love the enthusiasm.
Light Song's my mom's favorite too.
Aw.
Aw.
I love Nightblood.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's actually an unpopular opinion.
I don't think it is.
No,
but
everyone.
Inanimate
Favorite
objects that can
character
talk
of the
to you are
whole
like
book?
great.
Do what?
I'm just
Bradley.
surprised that that's one of your favorite characters of the whole book would be Nightblood.
Well, no, I just on top of the ones that have already been mentioned, and I also like Ciri's arc too. I
Do
like
you like
Oh, yeah.
Nightblood in and of itself, or do you like Nightblood's interactions with Vasher? Or
both.
is it Nightblood in a vacuum?
It's both. It's not just the vacuum. I just like the whole thing.
I do like Nightblood, but I feel like I liked Nightblood more not in this book.
Nightblood just
I'm
reminds
trying
me
to
of
like
this
not.
really-
And that probably comes from some nostalgia too. Now that this is my reread, I'm just like, you're back.
I mean, the trope of the inanimate object talking is like
Yeah,
amazing.
like Clef from Foundry Side. Love him.
And
Yeah.
then an amoral but like chaotic, neutral, good, evil thing. Like it's truly a chaotic sword.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, I guess you did mention Ciri, but like I do actually like the sisters. They
Yeah.
are my favorite.
I do, yeah.
And they both have such good arcs, I feel like.
Well, and like I do think the arc of Vivenna, is that how we say her name? Vivenna, can't remember.
Hi, Vivenna.
Vivenna. Like
Viv.
she is like classic older sibling syndrome, and I can say this as an older sister of like wanting to hyper control things and like knowing best and all of that, chip on the shoulder nonsense. And then when they are passed over, her whole arc and her pretension and needing to learn, I think is just really fascinating. Learning new ways of thinking, learning why were these things taboo to you and stuff like that. Learning how gullible she actually is. I think that's fun. I think I like Ciri more, but Ciri gets to shine more. Ciri doesn't get many faults in this book. Her biggest fault is that no one ever thought she could do anything. That's not a fault in herself. That's a fault in people looking at her.
Yeah.
That's true.
When Vivenna goes through the ringer, she ends up on the street
She
pretty much
dies.
dying. Because she's like,
She thought about becoming a prostitute for a minute there. Like,
Yep.
Right? And you're
Which I think
"Ooh."
was still a better idea to her than using breath.
yeah.
She's like, but
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really like both of their arcs. I think they also are like a pretty strong and a pretty realistic sibling relationship. Because I feel like you sometimes get the very like Frozen takeaway where it's just like they're super tight and close and stuff. And like, yes, siblings like that exist. But like sometimes you are just two people who happen to be born into the same family and you don't hate each other and you're going to step up to bat for each other. But like, you're not best friends. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I have 6 older. I'm the youngest, and I have 6 older brothers and sisters, some of which I'm super close with, and some of which is more like, yeah, you're my brother. About it, you're my sister. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, and like obviously Vasher is just this enigma, like just because I'm bringing him up just because we haven't talked about him and he's truly just like
I
this
love
mysterious
Vasher.
man. And I do think I only like
But
him as much as I
again-
do because of Nightblood, like the way he's like treating Nightblood as this like this precocious toddler.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
well, Nightblood's just
I
like,
also think-
justice! Let me kill
Yes!
evil!
Let me kill the evil. But I also feel like I like Vasher and Nightblood more because of other circumstances outside of
No, I love them
Warbreaker.
in this, especially when he's just like,
So-
Vivenna, you're so dumb. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like
But
how
then
you
I think I
gave
like
him
them
a
more
little bit
because
an
of other-
accurate
and then-
rescue.
Well, then I
And
keep
then on
trying
a
to escape,
reread,
and
it's
he's
like-
like, I'll teach you how to freaking awaken, you idiot! Like,
Like he's just, I love an exasperated hero. And when you first read Warbreaker, you do not know how good or bad Vasher is. He is just a character with an assassin sword. And in fantasy, that usually is a heroic trope-ish, but you don't know reading this book where he's going to fall. And getting to know him and realizing that he truly is like this person with higher ideals, but he's just like fallen from grace. And like, he's just so fun. I like reluctant heroes done well, and I think he really is. And he's really sassy and just like,
He is, yes.
I think he would just like go on vacation and sleep for days if he didn't have a stupid blood sword thing. Like, he does. And his history, that's the thing I want more of, even reading as much of the Cosmere as I have. I just want to know more about Vasher, like always.
Yeah. I agree. He's an interesting.
And even just
There's
seeing
a
that
lot
whole
of
thing where
missing
he and that
Vasher
girl
story.
where they made Nightblood would be cool.
Yeah.
Because we get
I
it
would
Right?
like,
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I want that novella.
I want it.
Sanderson, if you're watching,
We
which I
need
know
a
you're not.
secret history of every Cosmere book.
Yes, please.
Secret history, Warbreaker. Done. We just need that. Learn about Nightblood.
I mean, because Sanderson needs more money. Sell them all to us. We will buy them. There's your next Kickstarter.
Okay, next thing. Biggest oh shit moment. Like, what? Because this book I feel like had a few. Stephanie, you can start this time.
No.
No? You can't say no.
Sorry.
This is like improv. You can't say no.
it's
Oh my
yes
God.
and. Yes
It's
and.
Wow. Yes,
That's my
and.
channel. I don't know.
Man, there's so
I'm
many.
brain dead right now. I know.
There's
I'm on the
a
spot.
lot.
Okay,
All right,
well,
my
I'll-
big one,
I'll
because
go.
this actually, like, so Jesse was mentioning how even on a reread, if it's far enough apart, you might forget some things. And on my first reread, I don't remember how far it was from my first one, I forgot that the mercenary, who keeps saying never trust a mercenary, was a bad guy.
Oh yeah.
Even on a reread, I forgot that. I was just like,
I loved that on my first read where it was like, wait, they really are bad? Even though he told you the whole time that he's
Yeah,
Garbage.
Tumfa and whoever the other guy is.
Yes. Yes.
he was just so likable. And like, that's the part,
I
right? Because they're being
know.
chased by Vasher maybe or something. So he's like playing Vasher to be the bad guy. And we like don't know. And that's just such quintessential fun reveals.
I love you. I love you, mommy. I love you.
Hello.
I love you too, buddy.
All right. So I said mine. Now Stephanie.
I
The
really, I'm
existential
so
dread
sorry.
in that one.
I just had a reboot moment.
All right, Roger, your turn.
I mean, I think the most obvious one is when Light Sun gives up his breath to Suzerain to heal his tongue, and Suzerain goes like full Hulk mode, just awakening every banner, everything in the whole castle, and like
Yes.
he drains things so much more completely that they go white instead of gray, and so like half his castle is now white.
Yes.
It's a lot of.
That was a good
That
one.
was a fist pump moment.
Yeah.
I
also
did
like,
like
no,
when you
Light
find
Sun.
out he has no tongue. Just when you find out that
I
he
think
has
that
no
was-
tongue, and you're like,
Yeah.
eh? Or you find out that like he's more of a prisoner than like the king. You're like, wait, he's got a tongue? Like, what's going on here? Like the visual, because like I'm a very visual person. Like I am the type of person that sees the story as it plays in my head. So like just that visual in my head of the no tongue, like it has stuck with me for a while.
I think that was my biggest one for this one because I remembered pretty much the ending, but I'm also a visual reader, so that one it was like, oh yeah. And then just the whole, what did it remind me of? Kind of reminded me of The Mummy. But yeah,
I love the mummy.
I do too.
Or I think another
I
good
need to
moment is when you
rewatch.
find out that Vasher was the original person who bequeathed his breaths away, and then like he's like, okay, well I guess I
Oh,
can give you
yeah.
my stone army
Yeah.
that's made up of bones and like plaster, because why not?
There's just so much I don't understand. Like the existence of Suzerain, I still think I don't quite ever get. like why, how. I don't understand the laws of this enough. Like,
how
I
they
accept
get,
that he does
the
exist,
returned
but not.
baby.
But yeah, the return.
How they
He
get the
was a
returned
baby,
babies.
right?
Yeah, but like, why is he so much more powerful?
Because he has that gift of breath.
I
Thousands
guess,
and
but like, I
thousands
guess
and
why? I
thousands.
don't know. I don't know why it's so rare that he's the only one, or do they just keep killing the other ones?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
would like to know why my niece is calling me from outside.
Interesting. Another
not
moment
answering.
that I thought was really, it's probably not like a big moment, but it sticks with me, is when Light Song is reminded that his priest is someone from his past life. Like, I thought that was really touching. And when he like finally kind of learns more about himself, it's like, no, you're just a Dumbo who died on a boat. Like,
Well, because he was so convinced that he had to die in some crazy heroic way, since he was like the god of bravery or something.
That's
now.
right.
Yes.
I
It's
really
like, well,
like
kind
that.
of, because you like saved my niece or something, but also not really.
Yeah. I forget, was that like one of his friends or a brother? I can't even really remember. But I just knew the priest was like a close person in Light Song's life.
I don't
Yeah.
really remember what the relationship was.
I don't remember.
You know,
what
I
the
just read the book a
relationship
month
was
ago.
Was he a brother-in-law, maybe?
I can't
I don't
remember.
think
I
he was,
just
like, that
read it,
close
and
of
I don't
a-
even remember.
Oh, you know why she was calling? She wants the link to watch.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, I
Interesting.
got you. I got you.
What?
Maybe.
Oh, I have a question, which based off the memory of the people who've read this most recently might not go down well, but I wanted to know, and I assume hopefully this is okay, even though there's a child around. Were there any penis references in this book that I'm misremembering? Because I feel like I always remember that suddenly Siri is like impressed about something about Susebron, and I always thought it was Sanderson implying that he had like a large penis.
He was gifted. It's okay. I have headphones on. He can't hear nothing.
Okay. But like,
Just
this
so
is a
and he
scene
can't
I
hear
can't
anything
tell if
unless I
I've
say
inserted
it.
or if it actually happened, because when they like finally sleep together, I felt like there was this weird like before it fades to black moment.
I remember the
You know what? I can't
feeling
remember,
like
but
it
that
was
makes-
a reference, but I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't
Okay,
recall
'cause that was
anything
really
like that. I
I
usually
don't
pay
think it
attention
was-
to references to Bean.
I think it was just implied.
Was he heavily gifted?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if there was like, I just remember there being like a almost cartoony, almost fade to black moment before they first slept together, and I couldn't remember the
Well, and the whole thing, like with her making noise, like
Yeah.
considering it's Sanderson,
the
it was like,
noises.
excuse you,
Yeah.
when she found out.
Well, like they had to do the fake
yeah,
noises
yeah,
for
that's
a
what I'm
while, and
talking
that
about.
was a stare. Yeah, the fake
Like,
noises
the
were like,
first time
what
she
do I
did.
do? Yeah. Like, I
So,
can't do it because
To answer your question about Larimar, Larimar is Light Song's brother,
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
okay,
pretty
this
close.
is brother.
Okay.
according to the 13th Shard, and they tend to be pretty on it. So,
Oh yeah, no, they usually are. They know what they're talking about, and they always have references on references. Truly. Well, especially for things that like aren't in the books, you know, like if Sanderson said it in X interview in like 2015, they've
I admire the dedication
Yep.
to the
no, I do
citation.
like that they also have the
Right.
chapters. They have it referenced which chapter it was mentioned in Warbreaker. I'm just
No,
going to
the
trust you. I'm not going to
dedication
go
is
look.
real. It's truly real.
Oh my gosh.
I literally.
Well, we've been
shouldn't-
overwhelmingly positive. Do you guys have
I
any
cannot
critiques of Warbreaker? What would make Warbreaker a better book for you, or is it perfection?
I always felt the ending was too fast for me. Every read,
Yeah.
I think the
A
ending's
sequel.
too fast.
Yeah, because and I'll
Oh, I
admit,
agree.
I rushed through this to try to finish by the live show, but I feel like me rushing through it even felt super rushed with the ending. It was
Like,
like
it felt like
a
for
blank.
Sanderson a fairly fast-paced fantasy book for him. Like it was still medium to slow pace, but for him things, like I said, mysteries are set up, information's revealed in a relatively good back and forth
Mhm.
clip, which for me is what momentum drives me through a story. And then once we start getting to that climax, I felt like the Sanderlanche was a little out of control. And
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't have enough time to sit in anything. There are deaths that happened that I missed, and like, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even really a standard lance. It's like a standard cliff, because all of a sudden, out of
There was a
nowhere,
lot.
It's like Light Song sacrifices himself, everything explodes, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And so I think on every read, that's always something that I'm like, this could have, you know, I don't necessarily want to tell him to keep making books longer, but this could have been 50 pages longer, like this ending.
Well,
Yeah,
and
because
mean,
I have to agree. The Sander Lanch in this one was like a sand explosion.
yeah. And I mean, mine is 652 pages, which I feel like is kind of short.
Did you guys know this was his first self-published book, and he published it on his website?
I did not.
Yeah.
I did know that, but I
You
forgot
can read
that I
it for
knew
free
that
on
until you
his
said it. I
website
was like,
at any
wait,
point if you want to
yeah,
do it.
you still can.
That's cool.
Because I remember buying it and then seeing that, and I was like, why can you read it for free? And then I kind of looked into it because I was like, that's weird. Hi, Lauren. That's my
Well, and like,
niece
I think,
who was watching
I
me
mean,
from outside.
so I think I mean, I wasn't reading it at the time. I read it after it was published and bound together, but that it was serialized. Like every so often there were new chapters put up and stuff.
I can see if you read it serialized, where maybe it wouldn't feel so fast.
But I mean, to its credit, it still does actually just feel like a traditionally published Sanderson.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't feel different from the other ones. It's just
no,
abrupt.
but I
ending.
feel like if you had to wait, maybe it wouldn't feel so rushed.
I just also feel like potentially something
Yeah.
the plot conveniency. Like, I mean, Roger mentions like, oh, well, here's my army. It's like, there's just, and like, I don't know. I think at the time there are things I wouldn't have nitpicked when I first read it, but now having seen what Sanderson does do to make things feel earned, some things don't feel as earned retrospectively.
Yeah, but I feel like if you made this longer, it would earn the length.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it would definitely earn its length.
But I mean, I'm just a sucker for those type of like claustrophobic, people are stuck in forced proximity type political books, like what Siri and Susan Braun had.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't even think about it at the time, but like the Jasmine Throne has like that same trope of these like two people being, you know, in close proximity, separated. And I like those things.
And I do love that book too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your background
I just love
that book as well.
What'd you say, Stephanie?
Her background matches the cover of the Jasmine Throne.
Nice. What would be your critique, Roger? Or is it the same as us?
Probably the same. And I think I'm just greedy and I just want more of the backstory because this world has more rich lore than I think a lot of his other, like Warbreaker has like such a rich history with the conflict between the people who used to be in that city and then the God returned people coming and kind of taking it from them and then all of the secret history of Vasher and Nightblood. There's just so many like mysteries that were unveiled that we don't get really answers to.
Yeah, there were a lot of mysteries. And I
like what's
just
up
have
with the
to
royal
say,
locks? What is that? Why is it a thing?
Well, and also like, and I think this is a thing that I become pickier the older I get, and especially having just reread Elantris, where actually I think he did it really well, is like, we're really not looking at society. We are really hyper focused in on these big players and big time events, but at no point are we actually looking at boots on the ground sort of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I think I always want more of that, especially if we're talking about changes in society. It's like, well, in order to understand why we want X change, I kind of want to know where we're at and the goods and bads of where we're at.
And not just from the God King and the princesses of some neighboring kingdom.
Yeah, like, I mean, I understand the global part, but the macro I got. I didn't have enough micro, I guess.
I really hated the dad. Side note, I know he was not like the villain, but he was the villain for me. Yeah. Was the dad.
Because he loves Lavana too much. He's like, you're disposable.
Yeah, he was like, I love this one daughter too much, so we're going to change everything and just send my other daughter away. Like, you should love all your children the same, sir.
Like, yeah, he's not the villain because honestly, if we did this the other way, there would be a very different story. Can you imagine Ravenna and the God King?
You know what? I would like to see that, like, rewritten history, like a what if alternate story. Like, there's another next Kickstarter, Sanderson, who's not watching this. Alternate stories that we'd all read, because we would.
Yeah.
But like to me, the dad was the biggest villain.
Yeah, and I just felt so bad
hated
for
him.
Siri because she's just like, I haven't prepared for this. I have
Right,
nothing.
he's like, I don't care about her enough. I don't even give no
But it
cares
was
in the
like,
world.
ironically, her lack of preparation. It was the fact that she had such an open personality and a large amount of empathy is what made her the perfect person to step into this very toxic environment, because she was, more aware and more flexible and adaptable than I think. I think Vivenna would have taken her too long, and then suddenly she would have just probably been pregnant or something.
Right? Yeah,
And
she'd
it
have
didn't
just
matter
been
if
like,
she was or not, right? They just like she's
right?
pregnant enough. We'll just hide her from society and
She's
pretend like she had a baby.
enough. Pregnant enough, it's fine. Just kind of pregnant.
God. Just a little.
I do like that the actual villain, like, yes, there was a priest who was up to no good trying to keep the status quo, but it was the status quo that was the antagonistic force of this perpetual secret of the society and the system and everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still having pregnant enough.
Also, did we ever make it clear? It was kind of revealed by the end that like these sacrifices people made to the gods were not necessary, right? Like it was just
Pretty sure,
actually
yeah.
not a necessary thing.
Yeah.
No, it was
No.
because they consumed one breath per week, and they only had their one breath keeping them alive. So, like for Susabron,
Well,
it
didn't
didn't matter
Vasher say
because
something at the end about it? About how like there was like a different way of doing it? Because like you can live with the
I
one
thought
breath. I don't know.
I
It's been a
don't
long
know.
time since I've read it, but I feel like I remember at the end Vasher revealing stuff about how you didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
I don't remember because Vasher was doing weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, because
I
I think the
mean-
one breath of the returned is a different value than the breath of an average person.
Makes sense. We're all
Like I said,
Googling.
there's a lot about this magic system that even when I reread the books, it's harder for me to pin down. It's like, ironically, I think a very hard magic system, but also it feels the softest to me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying because I feel like it's an incredibly important part of the Cosmere magic systems. But yeah. But I don't honestly get the economy of breaths.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's clear because even the whatever it is, shard just says that he's learned.
Are you
some
on the
magic
same thing
suppression.
as me? I'm on the same thing as you then, Roger, because I'm on the 17th shard.
Yeah. Like, I know it's a big deal if they give up the breath, because that's what happened with Lightsong, right? Like, if you give up your one returned
Right.
breath, that's a big deal. But I think that returned breath itself doesn't go away in a week. And I think the whole taking a breath from someone, which doesn't kill them, right? Taking someone's breath does not kill them. But it does change their experience in the world. You're
It
purposely
makes them
sensitizing
gray.
them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It makes them very gray.
Which is an interesting like way of looking at different life experiences, which is another thing that I think is like a cool idea, but we only like touch on the surface about what is the ideal form of experiencing the universe, and how in this case it actually is like you want sensitivity overload, but we know that a lot of people who are on the spectrum, sensitivity overload is part of why they don't get to like exist in the same way as like neurotypical or normal sensitive people. Like
Mhm.
typically if you can't process all the data at once, that's like kind of part of what ADHD is. So I think it's like interesting,
Speaking
but it
of-
doesn't get like explored in that way. It's just like an interesting idea to like touch and then just like
Speaking of ADHD,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of Sanderson's MO, though, right? He always
it is. I love it.
presents a cool idea, but never really has like an
Yeah.
opinion or a viewpoint on it. He's always just like, here's this kind of cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a bad thing, yeah, but it's something where it's like, where would I necessarily want more? Because you've, not necessarily even him thematically answering the question. I just would have liked, again, it's probably more if I saw the society on the ground, I would just get to see the implications of what it would mean to not and have the breath and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I never really thought about it like that with like them in the neurotypical and ADHD brain type context of like the returned. But now that you say it, I'm like, wait. And, like,
in theory, I think it's
connecting.
hand waving that like the way the magic works is it gives you the neuronal capacity to process all of this new data, but like they're seeing more wavelengths than bees. Like we're just getting so much more info.
Yeah.
Jesse's either frozen or really shocked, and I can't tell.
I think it's both. That was so perfectly timed, though.
So yeah.
Is this
But I
where
mean,
we wanna
largely, I do
transition?
enjoy this book for what it is. I do think it accomplishes its purpose as like a midweight,
Mhm.
fun fantasy story.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Is
And
this
it's a
where we want
great
to transition
intro.
to the full Cosmere to this point? Spoiler, so it still won't include Stormlight, but it can be anything
Yeah.
Mistborn or Elantris.
I loved seeing. We're good now, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I love seeing Hoyd. I always get so excited when I see him.
He's just telling a story.
Yeah.
I love
what
anytime
story
I
he
see
And
told.
I didn't know about him when I first read this one, really. So that was really fun.
Yeah, it's just a nice little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Just him being there.
Like I actually got an Easter egg. I was like, go me.
Go me. Yeah. I didn't know much about Hoyd, I think, because it's one of my earlier Cosmere books too. Because I read the whole Mistborn series that was available back to back to back to back. Like I was like, oh well, we'll read it. Oh, there's a first one. Oh, there's a second one. Oh, there's a third one. Oh wait, there's 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So like I read all the way through Era 2, like 1 and 2, just back to back to back to back to back. Other than like the one that recently came out because it was years ago.
Bye, Marlene. Thanks for
And
stopping
then
by.
I was like, then I hopped into Warbreaker and I was like, okay. But then rereading it, catching the connections, 10 out of 10.
Yes.
I do think this is the magic system where you really start, at least I think it tries to start talking about investiture more, right? Like this is the first one that we've been reading where it's really on page in this book trying to like, Vasher's trying to explain things.
Yeah. It
Which is
really
why I
starts
still want
to
to reread
connect.
this because, spoiler alert, I didn't get to reread this for this video, even though apparently my memory is better than all of these people.
I'm exhausted, okay?
Hey,
Oh,
I
it's
remember
I also
some things.
didn't
I remembered
reread it.
most. I remembered more than these two.
And you reread it.
It
I
was like
haven't
over
read
a
it
month
in-
ago. It was
Over a
pre-defense,
month ago.
and
Who
defense
chose
is
to
a weird thing
have
to
a
your brain.
Cosmere read along the year of his defense? Who chose?
Right?
The defense does weird things to your brain. Angela knows.
I read Course of Dragon and I retained all of it perfectly. What? Where did the sun come from? This is bizarre weather. Sorry.
Where did the sun come from? That's a very existential question, Angela.
It didn't come from anywhere. It was just always there.
It's just always been there,
Always been there. All along.
allegedly.
So I think I do like Vasher's attempt at explaining how you do
Investiture.
awakenings. I think awakening is where you get a lot of like intent and investiture and like how to channel the magic in a way that is translatable across the magic systems.
Yeah.
Because I think, well, my theory, right, is that like awakening, you're just interacting with the cognitive plane from the physical plane. Like you're telling this object that has a cognitive identity to obtain a new cognitive code identity.
Be alive.
That's what awakening's doing, I think. Someone can correct
It's still
me.
probably the most confusing magic system to me. Even
It
with
seems to have the
rereads and like
it has the
looking,
least clearly defined rules.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's still the one that I'm like, wait.
Because then even when you think you understand it, then all of a sudden Vasher's just doing whatever he wants, doing crazy commands that you're like, was that a thing? I guess that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, he's just so old. He just like knows how to manipulate things and knows what he has to do, but he doesn't want to talk about it because he's tired all the time. Which, like, fair. He's really old.
He's really old.
Or just in general.
He
I
is
get it.
old.
I mean, he is pretty old, right? Like he's like hundreds of years old.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
old.
Well, my frame of reference right now is because I'm reading Memories of Ice, and I'm like, he's not that old. He's not Talani Mass old.
Okay, you cannot compare
I kept my
Lassen
mouth
to
shut.
Warbreaker.
I
I'm like,
was gonna keep it shut, and Roger brought it up. No,
He's
that's,
old.
that's a good. That's a good.
Then when
point.
things are like very tired and hundreds of thousands of years old, you're like,
they're
feel
literally
you.
bags of bones. Yeah.
I feel you. I'm old and tired.
I
as
do have a
well.
suspicion that we'll talk more about this magic system within the realm of the Cosmere when we do get to Stormlight books because of the things
well,
that
it's
are
a much
implied there.
clearer connection. Because I think the only
Yeah.
other connection would be in maybe Lost Metal, that like weird army that the lady is trying to bring through is maybe somehow related to this kind of awakening.
There were awakened chests all the time in Lost Metal too. Like there were
Yeah.
awakened devices, like, and it was kind of a way to have a very
Mhm.
encrypted lock and things like that. Like it's just a
That's
tool.
right. Yeah, but definitely
But
the
it's
connections
Obviously not
to
the big character crossover until later.
until Warbreaker. And that's
This
the
is
very
Warbreaker.
end.
You don't get the big crossover.
Or no,
until-
Warbreaker, the
Stormlight?
crossover until
Stormlight?
It's the second.
of Radiance,
You get the
They both
crossover
start
if Warbreaker is
Words of Radiance, but that's at the very end. They both start with a W, dang it.
I read Words of Radiance before we
I've
had
had to deal with my whole family this weekend.
no
okay,
one's
guys?
actively
Forgive me.
negatively judging
But
you. I'm
this
I'm
is a-
laughing
this is
with you.
a
We're just
safe
laughing
space,
with
Jesse.
you. It's with you, not at.
Yeah.
It's fine. I still love you guys. But no, I meant Words of Radiance. You don't really get that crossover till Words of Radiance, and even then it's at the very end.
I don't really remember. The only thing
And
I've
hard to
ever
catch.
read of Stormlight is Way of Kings. I've only read the rest of them once.
Well, yeah, and did you read
I have
Words
not
of
read it.
Radiance after Warbreaker though?
Yes.
Me, yes.
Okay, because like I don't know, when I first read Words of Radiance, because I was just reading in publication order, because that's what my life was like. I legit like remember like squealing, putting the book down, walking around when there was a certain like character reveal. I was like, "What? This can happen? This is
Words
happening."
of Radiance isn't. I don't know why it doesn't stick in my brain as much. Like I remember the end of Oathbringer. I remember a lot of Rhythm of War.
No,
And then for whatever reason,
The end,
Words of
the end
Radiance
of
is
Words of
gone.
Radiance, man, special.
Yeah, Words of Radiance
Well, when
is
we
the
get
one
there,
that
hopefully
stuck
I
with
feel
me
the
the
same
most
way because
out
I
of
don't
all of
remember
them.
it. I'll be getting to read.
I haven't reread any Stormlight though,
I haven't
so
either.
these
I
will be all
reread them
my
each
first
time a new one
times.
comes out. So you're gonna be on the 5th one next
a
year.
lot.
Yeah. I mean,
God.
there's a lot going on, and I like them. They're fun people to hang out with.
Oh yeah,
They're fun people to
Agreed.
hang out with.
Yeah.
but I
just
think
have a good
I
time.
knew to look for a connection because someone was
Yeah.
like, "There's a connection." And
I
was
don't know.
like,
I think the
"Oh."
one connection. There's one connection in Words of Radiance that I missed until the internet told me. But the one at
Oh,
the
okay.
end is so freaking obvious if you've
Oh,
read
yeah.
Warbreaker. Like
Yeah.
it's
That's
it's
true.
a direct quote.
And you're like, "Oh, the one at the end, yeah." But I
It's
meant
like
the
a
other one too.
direct quote.
Yeah.
That's
But I
true.
I
only
don't
knew-
remember what happens at the end of Words of Radiance.
I'm gonna
All
type it
sitting
in the
here
private
like-
chat for you.
I'm
Yeah,
sitting here
but
like,
I
what
only-
happened?
I
Angela's
only knew
got
to
you.
read them in that order because of you, Angela. You were like,
Yeah.
read it in this order, or you will regret it.
Bring it in Angela's order.
Well, I mean, her order is basically if you care about Cosmere Connections, just do pub order.
Yes.
It doesn't really. Yeah, it doesn't.
That
It
one.
doesn't really matter.
That one. Yeah.
That one's super obvious, but
That's the
The
only one
other
that's like
one,
super
too, yeah.
obvious. You don't need to be told by the internet. Like if you read
the other
Warbreaker
one's not
first,
as obvious. And
The
I
other
was
one's
told
not
by the
obvious,
internet
the
to
other one I
look
missed.
for one that wasn't obvious.
like it's obvious to people who are like, well, it's
That's the
people
only
who are
reason.
like Wheel of Time, and they're like, well, world building is done like this. I'm like, that is not actually very clear. The way he talks, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, well, you can tell because of X, Y, Z. It's like that's not actually very clear.
Right. It's not clear.
Yeah, or some things
The only
were
reason-
so obvious because of one page in
Oh,
a
yeah.
book 5 previous books beforehand.
No, people try to rationalize the end of Tower of Midnight in a relationship in there. I cackle.
I'm still so mad about that.
That is such BS. There was no foreshadowing. There was nothing, nowhere, no how. Liars, Liza Minnelli. Stop trying to make things.
and
that are not
everyone
real.
who is not
Say
a
Liza
fanboy
Minnelli.
has agreed with that.
No, Jesse, you need to understand. There's a
I'm frozen.
okay.
again.
We're doing Midnight Tower. A spoiler, real quick. I don't really care. I'm just gonna say it because Jesse's never reading this book. You
I'm
know-
never reading the rest of the Wheel of Time. I'm unhauling them.
But you know who Moraine and Tom are.
Yes,
Tom's the
I like
bard, and
Tom.
Moraine is
I
Gandalf
liked-
as a woman.
He was like the one person I liked was Tom.
Yeah.
You didn't like Moraine?
I mean, I liked Moraine. She was Gandalf. You're
okay.
right.
Moraine is not in the series from like book 6 to 13. She's not
Okay,
around.
let me get that for you.
Yeah.
She's not around.
But all those
Okay.
books, she's
For
not
all those
around.
books, she's not around. And Tom is
Oh.
barely around, and Tom is like also not acting like Tom the majority of the time, but he's like sporadically sprinkled throughout with Matt.
Mm,
And
yes.
come the end of book 13, they get married.
But it was so hinted at.
Tom and
before.
Moraine?
Yeah.
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 They've secretly been in love this whole
Or Tom
time.
and Matt?
No,
No, Tom and
Tom
Moraine.
and
Tom and Matt
Moraine.
would have made more sense.
Are like, wait,
Okay.
Tom and Matt?
I was so angry.
So I'm
That
just
makes no
saying, that
And I've
like,
only read
people are
2
like, you have
books.
to read between the lines, and I'm like, okay. Then this romance could have been in between.
By which you mean I needed to be writing a Tom Moraine fan fiction in my mind while reading it. Then it was between the lines.
I mean,
Yep. Now, this Words of Radiance is not as bad as that in terms of showing one of the characters. And you do notice it if you read it knowing who they are. But I do think like there are certain ways that people talk or think that I think some authors are really good at conveying different thought processes and culture. And other people, I think that if you just use certain word phrases, that equates to culture. And I don't think that's true.
mm.
Especially
But then that
The
one
reason for
becomes
has been Steven Erikson, because I cannot tell a single character apart unless he gives them a name, because they all sound exactly the friggin' same. They all talk in the same syntax with the same philosophy, even if they're from very different places. We have Grumpy Old Man, we have Strong-Headed Woman, or we have Felicen. Those are like his 3
Jesse's gonna love Felicen. I'm calling it
You
now.
really are.
I love how you're like, Jesse's gonna love it. I'm like, is Jesse ever gonna read this shit? Probably not.
Probably not, but we never say never. You got at
She's-
least another
she's a
50
good
I
years.
will
Yeah,
never
yeah.
say never.
Yeah, you'd
The
like
plot
her.
is really cool, the magic is really cool, the world building is really cool. I wish it
feel
just
like I'm-
wasn't all given through conversation, but that's a different conversation.
I feel
I
too
will
dumb
say-
for that.
Now, having read A Chorus of Dragons and Dandelion Dynasty, which do take 2 things that Malazan
Those.
does, but focus on each of them, so cultural world building and exploring how empire affects people and boots on the ground. Dandelion Dynasty does that thought experiment super well and way more, better in my opinion, but it's also a fragmented style. And I love that so much more than Malazan. And then A Chorus of Dragons is cool, bombastic stuff all the time. Have fun.
So
And so now
both of
that I have
those are
these
high
two
on my
separate
list.
things. It's I'm still gonna read Malazan and enjoy it, but it's I have these other things that scratch these itches better.
Yeah.
Well, because Malazan almost tries to do the jack of all trades thing. It tries to be really deep and philosophical while also doing cool, bombastic D&D style magic plot. And then it also tries to have this look at Empire because it tries to do too many. It's not really fantastic at any of them.
It's still better
Plus
than
his
the
writing
Wheel of
style.
Time.
His
So
writing
better
style
than
is
Wheel of Time.
overwritten.
It is better than Wheel of Time.
I'd say I've
struggled
had
through
more
2 books.
fun.
Okay.
If
I
I just look at the
haven't
first 3
had-
books of Watt versus the first 3 books of Malazan, I had more fun with the first 3 books of Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
I mean, and
but
that is
I
your
haven't
experience.
experienced Malazan fatigue.
I need
That's
to-
what you're experiencing now?
I'm experiencing Watt fatigue.
Yeah,
thought
she
you were
hasn't
experiencing
finished
fantasy
freaking
fatigue,
Memory of
period.
Light.
Do
Memory of
what?
Light.
Your fantasy fatigue period. It doesn't. I don't think it matters what series
I
it
think
is
I'm
right
just
now.
life fatigue period right now.
I was gonna say, I'm just experiencing fatigue.
Just fatigue. Note again, my
Fatigue.
ring light is on my face. The sun has gone away. I don't know what's happening outside.
I mean, that's me thinking about having to pack all of this because we're moving this week, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh god.
Nope, it's no fun. No fun.
Pass.
I jokingly said that the next time I moved, I was just going to get a shit ton of saran wrap and bubble wrap and just do all my shelves and just get somebody to move it that way. Because I do not want to pack up.
It's a
all
good
that.
idea. Hire somebody.
These
I
would
mean,
be
what you
so
can do is you can-
unbelievably heavy.
Don't matter if you ain't the one doing it.
We have college hunks moving junk here. That's their title. And I was
I-
like, I'm going to use them next time just for
I
the
would-
name.
I would use them just for the name. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
But now we are severely off topic. So next
We are.
month
We're
is
on college
so-
hunks.
Secret
moving
Project.
What
3?
else is new?
Next month is Secret Project 3,
I'm so excited.
which I
Okay.
think is the Stormlight adjacent one. I believe.
I
don't
know
remember.
nothing. So.
And-
That's
One
all
of
I
them
know is I
somehow.
think it's Cosmere.
And I think it's Jesse's channel for that one. Is that right?
Yes. yes.
Or did I just put you on the spot for that?
Jesse,
I
That
think
is
it
Jesse's
is.
channel.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely keep everyone posted.
I'm pretty sure, but I'm very excited to read Secret Project because I really love the first one.
Did you read the second
We
one?
really love Tress. I did.
No.
You know what? I finally finished it, Roger.
Did you actually?
I
This
haven't
isn't
even
bad.
started
The
it.
end
It
is
It's not
wasn't-
bad. It's
I think-
aggressively fine.
It's
the
aggressively
book is
fine.
quite
I
beautiful.
agree.
Having the actual art in the margins is really cool.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's a
I
very
had
beautifully
fun.
designed book.
Once I finally got into it, I had fun.
I don't know if I
It's
ever
fine.
had fun because I just do hold that first person Sanderson just isn't going to ever be my thing. First person I haven't liked a single first person Sanderson book. So
That's fair.
That makes sense. Fair.
I just like I have to respect
What
that
other
there
books
are
does
some
he write
people
this
who
first person though?
all young adult.
Oh, so I like Skyward.
Yep.
I
And
like
Skyward's
Skyward,
okay,
too.
but like when I first read Skyward, that's probably my favorite of his in first person. Spensa's internal monologue and the repetitiveness of her internal monologue. I'm like, honey, this is not the time.
I mean, Subtlety doesn't really know Sanderson.
No, we don't. He don't know her.
Yeah.
They're not friends.
No, the thing in Secret Project 2 that drove me bananas was his like internal rating system. I'm like, oh my god.
Two
I
Couldn't
did
out of 5
eventually-
stars. Didn't give sufficient cover.
I'm just
I still haven't read
I
it.
have to accept that some people do relate to that type of brain, and in some ways it's not like an unrealistic way of describing thought processes, but it's not fun for me to read. It's just not. I don't have a good time.
That's fair.
Also, Spensa's older than Vin, and it never reads that way to me.
No, it
And they
does
both
not.
grow up in dystopian worlds, so I don't get it.
Wait, she's older than Ven?
Vin is 16, Spensa's 17.
Oh
Spensa does not read like a 17-year-old, in my opinion.
no!
Yeah.
Wait, my mind is. I don't know why. I just
Because
never
she
thought of
doesn't
it
read
that
like
way.
she doesn't read like how we are trained to think 17-year-olds think, and she doesn't read like how I was at 17. Not to impose my brain on the masses, but but it was hard. Okay, it was really hard. I'm like, you live underground in a war-sieged area, and this is your brain.
This is your brain.
Yeah, this,
Brain on Sanderson.
Again, this is like I don't hate anyone as much as I hate David and the Reckoners. Oh my god, David!
I remember.
Freaking
I haven't read that one.
the quirk for David, because there's always a quirk, is David loves
Mm.
metaphors, and he thinks he's so witty about his metaphors. Spoiler alert, he's not, but he thinks he is.
Spoiler. I haven't read that one yet.
But that's what I mean. Like when he does first person, I think the way Sanderson feels closer and is like, well, everyone has a quirk, and then he hyper fixates on their quirks in odd ways that I just don't think make sense. Like, so Spence's thing is she copes with her trauma by being a melodramatic hero of her own story.
Where she, yeah, like you just picture her jumping on the table and being.
Good.
It just keeps freezing on the best frames.
I'm
just,
I mean,
frozen.
that was great. You
Am I
always
frozen,
frozen,
like-
frozen frame.
yeah, you have the best freeze frames.
Freeze frame. Sorry.
I am sure the Wi-Fi at this 1985 beach resort is not the best.
That's okay. I mean, we've hit
But you
our
know what?
hour anyway. It's fine.
We've hit the arbitrary time limit that we
Yes.
set for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes. So next one is Secret Project 3. We'll announce the channel and all that in Roger's Discord, which I do have it linked, and then I will have all your channels linked when it lets me. So any final thoughts, tangential or non-tangential?
The dad sucks. Susperon is a great cinnamon roll. I love Vasher just because he's
I
angry
like how
all
your
the
final
time.
thoughts are just a recap.
And Nightblood is the best.
So spoiler alert, her favorite character actually Nightblood.
Probably actually Nightblood, but Susperon is
He's
close.
He's a good egg.
He's a good egg.
I liked him with no tongue. Just because
I think Ciri's life will be improved with the tongue.
Oh, I agree.
I was thinking something along the same lines, but I didn't want to say it.
Yeah. Thank you for
I
pointing
mean-
that out.
I have
agree.
to put one out there for feminism, all right? We just have to have it be a good time.
That definitely improves life. So
Yeah. Yeah. On that note,
What a note
On
to
that
end this
note-
live show on.
do what?
Roger's
This live show
usually
is
the one.
rated PG-13. It's fine.
I mean, Roger's usually the one who like gets that one comment at least in there. So I'm impressed it was Angela.
Yeah. I
It's
love
always
it.
Roger.
Facts
Runner's
are
only been
facts,
awake for like
guys.
2 hours, so
You're
Oh,
not
okay.
wrong. You're very right.
It's always Roger. Who's like just getting that in there. We need more
Quick,
wine.
Stephanie, before we find other innuendos.
Okay. On that note, have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.